Welcome to Talkin Baloney.
Calvin Cocoa Pop.
This is Boochie.
Oh, gosh.
What's going on?
No script allowed.
What are you, some kind of bot? Come on, people.
Oh, yeah. You want a pickle, you gotta give him a pickle, right?
I want to be a movie star.
Wow, that sounds so interesting.
Fresh and quick.
Pudgy, pizza.
Part of the Baloney Nation.
Jim Deezy.
You guys still there?
Hey,
Jim
welcome.
Deezy.
What's going on, big guy?
Welcome to Talkin Baloney this week.
Yes, we are very, very welcome to be here.
You got a new setup for us.
Yeah, I'm coming to you live from the quiet closet, so to speak, so that we may not hear the dogs as much, and it's more of a devoted space to the show. And I don't really have a lot of room to rock. That's the wall behind me, folks. Right there. Boom. Yeah. Wall.
All right. So you're in the closet this week. That's a new take on the show, I guess.
Yeah. I'm in the closet.
Well, what better time to talk about Donnie Wahlberg than March 14th?
I never thought this show would even come to fruition.
Yeah. So just summarize for those who haven't been watching, how did we get here? What happened?
Well, you and I, the show, we were not big fans of New Kids on the Block. Somehow we got, my wife, Melly Mels, is a big fan of New Kids on the Block. Her and her friend were supposed to go on a trip. It didn't happen because the New Kids on the Block failed them. We rubbed it in. And somehow we end up talking about Donnie Wahlberg and Mark Wahlberg and the New Kids on the Block quite a bit over this last year. And here we are. We decided to issue a challenge that if so many people responded to, we would do a show on Donnie Wahlberg. Unfortunately, during the first week, apparently there's not a lot of Donnie Wahlberg fans. But when the forks were in the fire, and the crap hit the fan, man, those fans came out of the woodwork to get this show on the air. and here we are devoting a whole entire show to Donnie Wahlberg.
That's right. So we did a two-part Mark Wahlberg, who has a very successful film career. And there was a lot to talk about.
His net worth is $300 million.
That's Mark or Donnie?
That's Mark. Because
wow.
I wanted to have some little stabbing points that I could throw out there today. So I did my homework today. So
nice.
Yeah.
So then the Melly Mels put out the challenge and 16 comments were received. We only needed 10. Yeah. So definitely got a positive response to Donnie Wahlberg.
And I think part of the problem is we didn't really set the bar high. Like I was thinking, who really in the right mind is going to be a Donnie Wahlberg fan? I mean, other than, maybe, if you're not a New Kids on the Block fan, I guess. So the idea was, hey, can they really scrape up 10 people? And they did.
Yeah. I am surprised. I think a lot of the support was really support from Melly Mels.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm going to tell you, when we start talking about it, I was shocked to find out how many movies and what movies Donnie Wahlberg has actually been in. Surprised me.
Yes. Well, let's start New Kids on the Block. I mean, we have to start there. I'll openly admit, not a fan. I couldn't name one of their songs, and I probably would jump out the window if you started playing one of their songs. But go ahead and tell me what you think.
I just want to say, listen up, everybody, if you want to take a chance. Because I'm not going to be the one doing the New Kids dance. It's not going to happen. Anyway, I'm just sitting here in the podcast room hanging tough.
See, I feel like you're doing references to New Kids, right? Yeah.
That's what I got. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Their music is catchy. It's,
so it's COVID.
It was, yeah. They're both about the equivalents in catchiness. So I will say, listen, the New Kids on the Block have been performing for 20, 30 years, whatever now, and it's It's insane. The following that they have is nuts. And it's,
well,
yeah.
I mean, so you know their music. You do like their music. It's catchy. You're not like a blockhead, though.
No, I'm not a blockhead. You're not going to see me putting the posters on and, putting the pins on and the special sneakers and the special shirts. And
you're married to a blockhead, though. So
I am married to a blockhead. Yes.
You know the culture. You know what it is to be a blockhead.
It's ravenous. It really is. Like I asked Melly Mels to make me a shirt last night for the show that said Donnie who, and she was like, no. That's offensive. Not going to happen.
Well,
yeah.
You probably asked the wrong person for that.
We got our own print shop. I thought for sure we could get a t-shirt made, but unfortunately, if it's anti-New Kids or anti-Blockhead Nation or anti-Donnie, it ain't happening.
Yeah. And you can watch us anytime online or on Buzzsprout. You can listen. We're on all your major podcast sites. Mm-hmm. And I mention that because maybe you want to go back and watch some of our old episodes because we talk a lot of movies.
Yes.
We go through different stars and we kind of chronologically go through their careers. We've done Bruce Willis, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Tom Cruise, John Candy, Chevy Chase, and now today, Donnie Wahlberg.
Donnie freaking Wahlberg. And let me tell you, this guy, I'm going to start by saying this, not shocked in a way, but the nicest guy in the freaking world.
Donnie Wahlberg?
And he's married to Jenny McCarthy.
Okay. Now, Jenny McCarthy is, I'm going to say controversial. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She has some viewpoints that are just... Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We don't talk politics, but I will say anyone who's against vaccinations is insane.
Yeah, correct. Thankfully, we're doing a show about Donnie Wahlberg. But I will say this. He is a very, very nice guy. And because my wife follows the Blockhead Nation and Donnie Wahlberg on Twitter, I get to see all the nice little things that he posts all the time. And I will say the man reaches out to his fans. He stays relevant. You know what I mean? In this era of COVID and all these other things going on, when there's no public forum for these guys to perform in front of and there's no concerts and stuff, he stays relevant. He's out there. He's doing it. I gotta give him kudos to him, man. I thought I was going to be able to come on here and obliterate him and rip him apart. And, man, he's a nice guy.
Okay. If we did an episode for every nice guy, though,
yeah.
But,
I mean, that's about where I'm going to leave it right there. Because now I'm ready to dive into the movie stuff.
Well, let's do it. So, I was surprised he did as many movies as he has.
Yeah.
I'm even more surprised I've seen some of them.
Yes, and I had to double check last night, thinking he's not in Saw.
Well, he's not in Saw. He's in Saw 2.
Yeah, and 3.
And 4.
Yeah. I thought he would have been killed in 2.
Well, let's kind of go chronologically, like we do.
Yeah. Yep, let's do it.
The first movie that I've seen that he was in was the movie Ransom.
Yeah.
A Mel Gibson picture about the kidnapping of his son. And Donnie is one of the kidnappers.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
It's a good movie. I will say that he was not bad in the movie. I mean, obviously it's a Mel Gibson flick. I like Mel Gibson, the actor, not the ranting lunatic sometimes that he is, but
he would be a good match for Jenny McCarthy, just in terms of. But we're not talking that. We're not talking that.
Good movie. I gotta say, Ransom's a good movie. Well produced, well written, great action. Kind of, a lot going on.
There is. This is Gary Sinise is in it. This is where he's coming off the high of Forrest Gump, and he was doing like all these big roles before he settled into his CBS cop show career.
Mm-hmm. And how can you not like Gary Sinise? I mean, the man does a lot for the troops, does a lot for the soldiers.
Oh yeah, and he's great in this.
Yeah, and he's Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah. This of course has the famous Mel Gibson quote, "Give me back my son."
Yeah.
That's all he really got for that.
That's all I hear when he speaks now is, "They can take our land, but they cannot take our freedom." That's it.
All right. So that was 1996. Donnie does some movies in 98. He does Body Count, Butter, and Southie. I've never seen any of those.
I looked these up last night, and a couple of them had some pretty decent, fair reviews, but I've never watched any of them, to be honest.
So we'll go right to The Sixth Sense, 1999.
Bruce Willis.
Yes. Now, this is a movie we have talked about.
Yeah, we have.
We didn't mention Donnie when we talked about it.
No.
And until Melly Mels was on our show recently and pointed out that Donnie was in the movie, I had no idea that was him.
Yeah, I legit did not know that was him until it was pointed out to me. And I love the movie. Good movie.
Yeah. And I'll give him credit. He lost a ton of weight. He doesn't look anything like Donnie Wahlberg. Mm-hmm. He's got like a bad haircut. And
he
did a good job.
He did a good job. I won't pick this one apart on him.
So, I guess from there, there's just a lot of movies I've never seen. Mm-hmm. He does do Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, Saw 5.
Let's be honest. Did we really need anything past Saw 1?
No.
Mm-hmm.
So he plays a cop in those shows, and that starts a trend. Mm-hmm. He plays a cop almost exclusively now in movies and films.
Yeah. Right up to his TV shows he's in now.
Right. He's done the last 10 years he's been on Bad Bloods playing a cop. Mm-hmm. Let's just run down the list of cops he's done. So he plays a cop in the Saw movies.
Yeah.
So that's starting in 2005.
Okay.
In 2006, he does Saw 3, which is, again, a cop.
Mm-hmm.
2007, he does the movie Dead Silence, where he's Detective Jim Lipton. And then he also does Saw 4. Saw 5, he's appears in archive footage as a cop. He does Righteous Kill, he's Detective Ted Riley. And he does a movie called What Doesn't Kill You, where he's Detective Moran.
Yeah.
On TV, he does the show Boomtown in 2002. He plays the detective. He plays a cop in the show NY-70 in 2005. 2006, a miniseries, The Path to 9/11. He plays Detective Kirk. 2007, The Kill Point is Detective Horst Calley. He plays a cop in The Kings of South Beach, Detective Andy. 2009 TV movie Bunker Hill. He plays Detective Mike Moriarty. He appears for 2 episodes in Rizzoli and Isis. Plays Lieutenant Joey Grant, the cop. And then Blue Bloods for 10 seasons. He's Detective Danny Regan.
Yeah, I guess, being that his, brother was kind of a gangster growing up, maybe the cop thing was his dream. I don't know.
That's typecasting, right? It's like now.
I mean, that's not by chance. That's
how does someone play a cop in like literally 20 projects in a row?
Yeah, it's not by chance. That's contractually obligated. Or you were really picking your scripts.
Yeah, there's something going on there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a miscalling, I guess. Maybe it's because of Marky Mark.
he wanted to be a cop growing up.
It has to be. I mean, I'd love to hear the take from the Blockhead Nation on this one.
And we're actually going to do that because coming up next, Melly Mels is going to join the show.
Yeah.
And she's going to probably put a completely different spin on Donnie Wahlberg than we just did.
Yeah. And for the record, let it state that I'm happy with how nice the guy is. Like, it's somewhat alarming, actually. Yeah. But I will say this. It's, great that the Saw movies came out and all that, but we really didn't need any Saw movies past one. We got the point. Let's see how grotesque we can possibly make, someone chopping their own arm off to get out, that they're not going to get out anyway.
Yeah. Well, and before we go, we should mention he was also in Band of Brothers, which in terms of high profile acting gigs, that's a pretty good one. There's a lot of top talent that were involved in Band of Brothers. So that's a nice credit for him.
That was the military movies, right?
Yeah, it was produced by Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
It covers World War II.
Yeah,
tons and tons of actors in it, but you pretty much had to be somebody to be in it.
Yeah.
No scrubs allowed.
No. I don't want no scrubs. There's our daily TLC reference.
Got to get it in there.
Yep.
All right, so we'll take a break and we'll
All
have
right.
Melly Mels with us.
All right. Blockhead Nation is coming to us next segment.
Oh, boy.
What the hell?
And
welcome back. And
Hey,
looky who we have here. So, just for the record, one of the Blockhead Nation-ites was so embarrassed they did not want to come on the show, is what you're saying. Correct? DJ?
No.
Okay.
No, she couldn't. She couldn't come because she didn't know that she got it messed up. So unfortunately, she can't join us. But my mom, I think, was going to join us if we could call her.
I mean, we could. But do we want to?
She really wants to speak her piece on you guys not counting her vote. So.
What do you mean?
What? Are you saying that there was some illegal vote counting here? Listen, we don't do politics on this show.
No, you guys said you weren't counting her vote.
No. The only vote we didn't count was your vote.
Yeah,
okay, because you were like, oh, it was 4 because there were 6 and then it was 4.
The other one was the one that was for Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make well, anyway, so she wanted to make sure that her vote was counted.
See, folks,
Okay.
like I said, these baloney or these blockheads, they're passionate. They get angry, and you got to be. Go ahead. What was that?
I was going to say, did you guys talk really bad? I don't even. Oh,
You won't know.
No.
We would never. We would never.
Yeah.
Jim said more positive things about Donnie Wahlberg than I ever could have anticipated.
Okay.
He doesn't
Unfortunately,
quite
I
make.
also talked.
Yeah, I know. You're not a fan, Joe. It's okay. I still care.
He doesn't quite make as much money as Marky Mark does. Let's be honest. I mean, Marky Mark's net worth is $300 million. Donnie Wahlberg's net worth is a lot less.
I don't know. I don't look into his personal financials.
I mean, these are things we need to look at when we're talking about stars.
Is that what really matters? Is money?
Well, to the folks above us, yes.
Wow.
Well, let's kind of get organized here a little. And we're talking Donnie Wahlberg this week due to the request of Baloney Nation, who resoundingly voted in favor of this Donnie Wahlberg episode. Melly Mels is our Donnie Wahlberg expert. So we're going to let Melly Mels kind of explain the allure of Donnie Wahlberg
the allure of Donnie Wahlberg. And I apologize because Robbie has decided that he is joining me in this phone call. So he probably will step in front of the camera on me in a minute here. I guess if you guys want to know the allure.
There it is.
There he is.
This is what. It's like a crazy animal house today. I don't know. They're all possessed. So did you guys talk about Donnie? Like,
you just tell us.
You
just tell us your take on Donnie Wahlberg.
Okay, so Donnie, as you guys know, I really love New Kids on the Block, and I have ever since I was like 16 or 17. I can't remember how old I was when I started listening to them, but they really were our favorite band when we were early teenagers. And so DJ, also known as Love Nub, and I, that was something that we had in common. And we would watch their videos a lot and watch them at slumber parties and things like that. So it's a lot of nostalgia from our childhood. Anyway, so Donnie is one of the 5 members of New Kids on the Block. The allure of Donnie as an adult, Donnie was as a teenager, he was kind of the bad boy. And DJ and I didn't really, he wasn't one of our favorite New Kids. I think we talked about this before. So DJ is a Jordan Knight girl. He's her guy on New Kids on the Block. And I always really loved Joey McIntyre. So Donnie was somebody that was in the band, but we didn't really, he wasn't one of our favorites. So, but when they got back together in 2008, so Donnie as a grown-up is definitely, I think, the member of the band that really reaches out and has lots of positive things to say to his fans. So as a grown-up, that's why we said that we really like Donnie as a grown-up, because he does very nice things for people. He always has positive things to say. He does a lot of stuff on his Twitter. He does these things called twigs. So he does these Twitter hugs. So people, they'll send in and he'll send you a virtual twig. And then he always has positive quotes to share. He is the kind of, they call him the captain of New Kids on the Block. So he is the one that like works on like their tour and things like that, like organizing, and he also produces some of their music, but he also is an actor. And that's why I thought it would be nice to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
So
interesting.
We did talk about his acting career, but we definitely want your take on it because quite frankly, I've only seen a couple of the movies he's been in, and I haven't really watched any of the TV shows. But why don't you start with like what is like your favorite Donnie Wahlberg performance in a movie?
Well, in the movies, I hadn't really watched a lot of his movies because they were horror movies, and you guys know how I feel about horror movies. Robbie is being such a jerk right now. As far as his movies, like Saw, he was in all of the Saw movies and things like that. Like, I didn't really partake in those movies because they're horror movies, and whether he's in it or not doesn't make a difference to me. I can't watch a horror movie. They scare me too much. So I didn't really watch him in that. I have watched him in Blue Blood, so I will tell you that he does a really good job playing a police detective.
Seems to be a miscalling.
Yeah, it's almost, and him and Mark often play policemen, which is interesting. So, and then he did a really he actually was a producer in their Wahlburgers reality show. I watched that all the time when it was on, and I really enjoyed it. And he played himself, obviously, in that. And then...
So I guess in terms of his acting, outside of Blue Bloods, you haven't really seen too many of his projects.
Not his movies because they're scary, guys.
Well, he did do. He's played a cop in about 20 different projects.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see when you watch the first segment. We ran down the full list. It's
Yeah.
kind of amazing. He's almost hello.
Hey, look at
there you are. He's almost exclusively played cops since like 2002.
Yeah.
We think that he missed his calling, that he wanted to be a police officer.
Maybe.
Maybe you could reach out to him and ask him. We want to know.
Okay.
He seems to be a cop in everything he does. So
I feel like you guys were really mocking Donnie Wahlberg before the episode before you got me.
Actually, I spoke very highly of him, which was surprising. I even said, I'm surprised I'm speaking this highly of him. I will reference back to the big guy. He's surprisingly a very nice guy.
Yeah. And that's why we really like him. So I don't remember if I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the just a few weeks ago on Twitter, I shared one of his tweets with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And said, this is really why we really like Donnie, is because he's a very kind, loving person.
Yeah.
So
tell us about Wahlburgers. You watch that show a lot. What?
Yeah, I did.
I haven't seen it. What happens on there?
So it's about just the Wahlburgers restaurant and the franchises that they opened and kind of the operations of what they did. So like Mark and Donnie really are the kind of public spokespeople for the restaurants, and Paul's kind of the behind the scenes person that handles all the operations in the restaurants. But they also featured their mother, Alma, on the show, and a couple of their brothers and some of his friends that Mark Wahlberg's friends that were, I think, portrayed in Entourage. So it was a reality series about that and about their lives, and
You've kind of talked about on the show, they would like reference some of Marky's roles as like the movies they didn't like Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
Did they ever?
Yes.
They ever do that for Donnie? Were there like things about Donnie's career they would maybe the Saw movies or anything like that?
No, they didn't mention any of his stuff that they didn't really. His mom talked about like at the New Kids Fight, how her and the other mothers, they actually wrote the fans back. So they had handled all of their mail in their fan club. And I think she even had like his rat tail. They were going through all her memorabilia. And so they talked about that. But not really a whole bunch. I got the feeling that he was kind of her favorite child. And they showed a lot of, he was always trying to get her to say he was her favorite child, kind of like I do to my mom.
So he is the 8th out of 9 kids, correct?
Yeah, he's almost the baby. Mark is the youngest.
Surprising, I knew that.
Yeah. And for me, it is interesting because Mark got in a lot of trouble in one of the, I think it's actually the charge that, or what he was charged with, like it was like a hate crime almost to somebody that was of different race. And Donnie is like really he works with everybody of different races and stuff like that, and he's always very, very positive about it. So it just kind of made me think about the differences between the two of them.
Gotcha. That is a good take from Melly Mels.
Anyway.
Very serious.
Yeah.
So I have an interesting fact about Donnie Wahlberg that frequent friend of the show, Dennis Grant, let me know. And I had forgotten this, but Donnie Wahlberg was at WrestleMania 10.
Oh.
Really? I did not know that.
He was the celebrity guest ring announcer for the title match between Yokozuna and Lex Luger.
See, so there's a wrestling connection.
Yeah. And Jenny McCarthy has obviously done a bunch of wrestling stuff as well, so I think they might be closet wrestling fans, the Wahlburgers.
They might be.
Now I can like him. I can like him now. See?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, we know Mark Wahlberger knows John Cena, right? They work together.
He does from the movies. Yeah, my favorite movie of all time. No, I'm just kidding. That really isn't my favorite movie of all time. I'm just joking.
The truth comes out, folks. Live on Talkin' Donnie.
Since you brought it up, I think we got to know now, what is your favorite movie of all time?
Oh,
if it's not Daddy's Home.
I guess James didn't realize that I was really like Chevy Chase because we don't like Christmas Vacation. I'm not really that into Christmas Vacation, but the original Vacation, like that was something that I watched all the time growing up. So
that's a classic.
Yeah. Instant.
That and Dirty Dancing.
Classic. Ooh, Dirty Dancing.
What about Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves? Does that get a vote?
Oh, I like Robin Hood. Yeah, it's in because it was a special movie for me because James went with me and I think it was our first date and we had pickle dip and
always comes back to pickle dip.
Always giving him the pickle.
Yeah, and we got the soundtrack off of I think it was a single. We got the single and then we played it in his car.
We bought it at Record Town. We played it on a cassette player in our car. In
your car, and then my dad would I remember specifically listening to that music and then my dad turning the light on and off to tell me I had to come in.
Do you remember what car that was, Jim? Of your
That was my 1979 AMC Spirit hatchback.
I was hoping it was.
It was exactly
that
the
it
car.
was. Yes, it was. Man, memories.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys doing an episode on Donnie.
Hey, we had no choice. The nation voted, and
we listen to Baloney Nation.
Yeah, we're fair. We are fair, and we are
fair and balanced.
Fair and balanced.
And I was going to refer to this as like a hostile takeover, but it wasn't. It was just, the fans wanted something. We responded. We gave everyone what they wanted, a Donnie episode.
Yep.
And now we can get back to our regular programming next week.
Yeah. Get back to talking about, baloney stuff.
Baloney stuff. I think it would be much more entertaining if DJ was here too, but that's okay. You could get her perspective.
Hey, you know what? It is what it is. She was afraid of the moment of fame, and she decided to run and hide, and that's fine. She didn't want to stand up for what she believed in on the show, on the air. She didn't want to handle the tough questions. That's on her.
Wow.
I mean,
wow.
We get it.
Well, we're definitely going to get a voicemail now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap up the segment here on Donnie, and we'll come back and we'll do Baloney Nation and Melly Mels. You can stick around for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Hey,
Deezy.
Welcome back, nation.
What was going on there, Jim Deezy?
I was inspecting the camera. It looked like there was a spider crawling up the wall in here in the closet.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll enjoy that when you watch it back. That was a great face. So welcome the viewers back to the segment.
Hey.
So it is time for Baloney Nation. This is our chance to hear from our fans. They can call us 585-484-1770. They can leave a voicemail. They can send a text. Is it the kids like to do? Send a text.
What did these
to send a text?
what would these kids nowadays do if they had to write a letter or
write
a note?
A letter? They just
Or
wouldn't be
write
able to
a
write
note.
cursive because they don't teach cursive.
So before we get to the hotline questions, Melly Mels, we did a Waffle House 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
On your birthday.
Yeah.
What was your initial thoughts of Waffle House?
Well, I hate to disappoint you guys, but I didn't think it was phenomenal.
What?
It wasn't phenomenal. Maybe it was the Waffle House that we went to.
Oh, you didn't like the food?
No, it wasn't great. But it may have been just where I was that day, because it was just a rough day. So even though it was my birthday. So
Man.
What?
It's Waffle House. Waffle House is good every day.
James, it was not. You guys talk about it being the end all be all place. I just didn't think it was.
Oh,
but like I said,
cut the mic. Cut the mic.
It wasn't a phenomenal day, you guys know. I mean,
it was rainy, it was dreary. We understand that.
It was my first birthday without my
emotions.
Dad.
I know. You had some emotions going on, but it was Waffle House. If anything can make you forget anything, it's Waffle House.
Now, Krispy Kreme, that was phenomenal. And my birthday cake donut was fabulous.
Okay, so there was something positive that came out of that. The Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
I'll say, the Waffle House wasn't the greatest service.
It was a weird experience that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was everybody's first trip out, wearing the mask, going into a restaurant, that kind of thing. So.
Well, and I think I would be interested in going to another one and just seeing, how the other ones are, or going to that one again on a different day or something like that.
What we'll have to do is we'll have to line up a plethora of Waffle Houses for the day. We'll have to visit multiple locations.
I would say if you are in Virginia, the next time you ever go to Virginia, there's a Waffle House on every corner, and it's fun to try each one and compare.
Yeah.
So, 3, 4, 5 meals.
Yeah. And then there's a Krispy Kreme right around the corner from the last one you would go to. So boom. It's like the trifecta.
I don't know how you guys put all that food in.
Like all 4 food groups.
But I would like to try it again. Okay.
All right. Well, so you're willing to try it again. That's good.
Yeah, I really liked how they had the Waffle House stamp on their waffles.
Yeah.
You like the waffle themselves, right?
Yeah, the waffle was all right. Like I said, it just was a rainy, dreary day. It was not, emotional day. So probably that had to do with it.
So in no way, shape, or form were you saying that the waffles were bad?
No, the waffle was
good. Just clarifying for our nation.
I was just saying Waffle House in general, that whole experience. I wasn't
good. All right.
I wasn't over the moon like you guys are about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, even a bad Waffle House experience is a good experience. That's how you gotta look at it. Did we have silverware? No. Did we get our beverages before we were done eating? No. Did we have napkins? Not really. But man, those waffles.
We had syrup. We did have syrup, and we did have some butter.
Yes, syrup
Jim,
and butter.
that ham.
Oh, the Virginia ham.
Yeah, you had your ham.
It's delicious. Matter of fact, my stomach is growling right now.
Same here.
Thinking of the ham.
Just thinking of that Virginia ham. Just something about the way they fried on the griddle.
Yeah.
Delish.
All right, so Baloney Nation wants to know, if you had a toy company, what sort of toys would you make? Jim, you want to start us off?
I would make a Waffle House line of toys.
Okay, I'm listening.
And I would make some Krispy Kreme toys that smelled, and if you licked them, they tasted just like a real glazed donut, but they weren't edible.
Okay, that might be confusing for children, but
yeah.
You know what? They'll only choke out at one time.
Melly Mels, do you have a answer for our Baloney Nation question?
Sure. I would make scratch and sniff stickers like we had when we were children.
Okay. Do those not exist anymore?
No, not the ones like we had. You remember when you were good, you used to get a scratch and sniff sticker. Sticker.
I loved scratch and sniff sneakers. They were great because my sneakers always smelled.
Yeah.
You didn't even have to scratch them.
Yep. No scratch necessary. Fresh and quick all the time.
Yeah, and they had all of those different scents and things like that.
Yeah.
They just don't have them like that anymore. There are stickers that are smelly, but they're not like they were when we were young.
Yeah, the ones we had when we were young probably had toxic stuff in them. That was probably illegal.
Probably.
But you know what? If you can look past that, if you can look past the toxicity and everything, they were delicious. They smelled great.
I know.
The smell would rub off on your clothes if you had the smelly pencils, or the smelly pens. Who doesn't want a pen or pencil that smells like peppermint or vanilla?
Yeah. I actually still buy the smelly Mr. Sketch markers because I think that they smell really good.
Listen, I'm just saying, for the Baloney Nation, if you guys still want something that's not safe for you and still has the good old scratch and sniff smell, you go hit the Dollar Tree up. They got it.
Next question. So a viewer wants to know if movie soundtracks with contemporary pop songs can prevent a film from feeling timeless. So
no.
Okay.
No. No. Because that would be like saying a pop song and Dirty Dancing is going to keep that soundtrack from being time. Everybody, I think, at one point listened to the Dirty Dancing soundtrack.
Yeah.
But it evokes a time period, right? You
it
hear
does.
that soundtrack and you think, oh, 1985.
Yeah.
It's very 80s. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the idea of a timeless soundtrack, something like Sleepless in Seattle, which took place in the 90s, but it used music from the 50s. And it gives it kind of a timeless feel because you don't associate the music with the time period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can see that. They kind of did.
You watch a Rocky movie, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, heavy on music, right?
Yep.
Not timeless. That music's very dated.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, that's it. That's. Listen, I'm a sucker for soundtracks, so.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of one of your soundtracks that you really like that you consider to be like timeless?
Well, I mean, Top Gun, Robin Hood, Dirty Dancing, Iron Eagle. Listen, the soundtrack's way better than the movie.
Iron Eagle?
Yeah.
You recently rewatched it, right?
I did. I think I was texting you while I was watching it.
Yeah. What was your take on it now, seeing it in 2021 as a...
Just seeing it now versus then, the special effects are horrible. The fact that they found no safety protocol to fly the fighter jets in Iron Eagle. Most of the scenes aren't even believable.
Mel, what do you think of movie soundtracks?
The ones that James mentioned came to mind. I do like them. There's a couple of them. Jerry Maguire, I had that soundtrack.
Yeah.
Jerry Maguire, forgot about that. Show me the money.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce Springsteen, Secret Garden.
That had some really good songs on it. I've been known a time or two to buy a soundtrack.
Footloose, you had the Footloose soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh yeah, classic.
Over the top soundtrack. Had a little Sammy Hagar, a little Kenny Loggins. Oh yeah.
We actually, the other day, we were watching TV and James was like, it was rock ballads, Time Life, like the commercial for rock ballads and every rock ballad imaginable. And he's like, ooh, I want this, and I said, well, let's just make a playlist on Spotify with all the songs on it.
We had to come to it was a moment there because I was like, but I want the CDs. And Melly Mels was like, but you can just download them now and make a playlist. But I'm like, but I want the CDs.
Yeah.
I have a CD player in the car.
You do have a CD player in the car?
The SUV's got a CD player in it still.
Yeah.
And Melly Mels' little Mini Cooper's got a CD player in it.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't ever use it. I've the last time I used it, I bought the new New Kids on the Block Anniversary Edition Hangin' Tough CD, and that's what I listen to it on. But most of the time, I just make because it does MP3s as well and a thumb drive, so I just put the MP3s on a thumb drive, or I connect to my phone.
But think about how fun it is to take the CD out of the case and watch it go into the CD player, and you hear it spinning.
Yeah, except they get scratched or, and then you lose them.
We're
losing touch with our past.
Well, there is something to be said for physical media as we enter this digital age. You mentioned songs on like Spotify. Well, what happens if they disappear from Spotify and then you can't find them?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. There is a point of that for sure, of having and owning the item.
The Time Life Special, they were only $1 a song. $1 a song.
Only $150.
It was like 150 songs. It was crazy, but it was free shipping, and they were going to give you 2-day shipping.
And throw in a bonus Queen CD.
Oh yeah, they're going to give you Queen's Greatest Hits for free. Who does that? Columbia House? No.
I made him a Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Well, that's a real issue.
Let's talk about that for a second. We played it yesterday after dropping the kid off at college. We came back on our way back, played that Spotify playlist, and every time it played one song, there'd be 3 commercials, and then it'd play 2 songs, and then 3 more commercials.
Yeah, because
no commercials on CDs.
True. James doesn't subscribe to Spotify Premium, so kept playing ads.
Well, you're going to pay at some point, somewhere.
Crazy. Shouldn't have to pay for happiness.
So physical media going away, I'd like to buy Blu-rays and I have like a collection. It's because movies are not, they're not everywhere that you would think they are. You think with all these streaming services, you can find a movie anywhere you want, but it's actually harder to find movies now. There's no Blockbuster to walk through.
Perfect example. You go to Amazon Prime. You want to watch the Conjuring series, but they got Conjuring 2 on Prime, but not Conjuring 1.
There you go.
Yep.
You can't get into a sequel of movies because they only got one of them on there.
Yeah.
And the rights can change. If you bought a movie on iTunes, say I'm going to own this movie on iTunes. It goes into your iTunes collection, and then Apple loses the rights to the movie 5 years from now. The movie in your collection disappears. It's not there.
Yeah.
You don't actually own it.
Yeah.
Even though you paid them for it.
I think you guys have a valid point.
It's corrupt. That's what it is. It's corrupt.
And that was the point we were making.
Yeah. And guess what? When you download that MP3 file or whatever, it can be corrupt too. But when you got that CD, it keeps on playing.
All right, so I think that wraps it up for this week. I want to thank Melly Mels.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Let's thank DJ for being on the show. Oh, that's right, she wasn't on the show. She skipped. Okay.
Oh, yeah, and I just want to say thank you to the listeners that voted for the Donnie show. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I will say I was shocked. I was shocked at how many people came through, how many Donnie fans there were, how big the Blockhead Nation was. And again, I'll state for the record how nice Donnie Wahlberg is.
And I'll just state again, we voted, we counted every vote except for 2. One which was Melly Mels, because she can't vote for herself.
Yeah.
Right.
And the second voted for technically Mark Wahlberg.
Okay. That is fair. I thought it sounded like you guys were not letting my mom's vote stay. And my mom.
Whoa. For
No,
clarification, in the picketers getting ready out in the parking lot, we did not exclude your mom.
Her vote counted,
Because,
and Paula's
Okay.
vote counted, but she tried to vote twice. I can only count one of them. Just-
she might,
so-
yeah. Mommy loves Donnie Wahlberg. She wants to go to the Blue Blood set and meet him. She wants to go on a cruise with me and meet him. I made her I wore all Donnie Girls t-shirt for her birthday.
Wow.
She really likes Donnie. As she said it, she's a Donnie freak, she said.
That's
A
right.
Donnie freak, folks. A Donnie freak.
she thinks he's so sweet. So
Hey, you know what? And hey, if it keeps her happy, and you know, hey, you go, Donnie.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to say goodbye.
Yes.
Right.
So,
Let's get this Donnie episode over.
Oh
for all the
my.
Donnie freaks out there, have a good one.
Right.
and wash your hands.
Bye.
Draw.